get started now on this third section. I'm DesireeKeown, Marketing Manager for Cavalier Bremworth. Very pleased to be here for a number of reasons, and very pleased to be supporting the residential rating tool. I guess for three very key reasons. The first one is I grew up in the very deep south in a house that was badly insulated, had ice on the inside of the windows through winter. So I really understand what health and comfort can add to a house when you grow up in those sort of conditions. I always kind of make the point that I probably would have been a lot taller, in fact, if it hadn't been so cold, because all of the energy we took in as food was actually just spent keeping warm, not actually growing upwards. And I don't know if you know any other Southlanders, but they're generally pretty short. One of the other reasons I'm really thrilled about this tool is purely selfish, because I work for Cavalier Bremworth, and wool carpet has some fantastic attributes that fit very beautifully into a healthy, warm and comfortable home, and I'm going to take you through some of those shortly. And I think the third reason, again purely selfish because I'm a selfish person, is that when last year I went to buy a house in Auckland and we looked around at all of the leaky houses and thought, no, we won't have one of those. We'll have a good, solid 1930s, well-built, weatherboard home. It had been beautifully renovated only 18 months ago. An architect had been involved. And you would think, wouldn't you, that if you're going to spend an awful lot of money doing a massive renovation, that would be the time to look at the performance design of a house. Wrong. We are now looking at this house, and having spent the last week in the company of the speakers from Brands and Vegan Pathway, I'm looking at this house again going, oh dear God, there is no underfloor insulation. There is, we bought the house on aesthetics, it's gorgeous. Fantastic shower, double head shower, probably full-on pressure by the time my partner's out of there. Half the Waitakere Reservoir has gone. You may have read this morning, in fact, that we're likely to face water restrictions. Apologies for that. The electrical system in the house is something to behold. There are so many excess lights that are really unnecessary. Eden Park, again, has had a little word to us that, during the Rugby World Cup, they'll probably be wanting to borrow a few. And really, when I look at the air conditioning system and the heating of this home, it's got this very old, clunky, expensive air conditioning system, heating system to run, and I'm just too scared to turn that puppy on this winter in case we get blackouts, because it sucks the grid like nothing else. So I look at the house we've got, and I look at the rating tool and go, if we made the improvements that they're recommending, which for our house would be relatively minor and inexpensive, and we go to sell our house 4 or 5 years down the track, if you look at the statistics, you would have to say we are going to be far, far better off when we're trying to sell our house on a market with a comparative home that still looks the same, but we've got those performance features. So I just see enormous value in what is being proposed. Just in brief, I'm going to take you through our environmental choice journey, then some health environmental issues in relation to wool carpet. I'm sure some of these things you will know, but there may be some things that will surprise you as well. And then just a little bit about the information and resources we've invested in the last few years to make specifying carpet much easier. Just like to reiterate the fact that Cavalier Bremworth is a New Zealand company. We employ 600 people in our carpet making operations. We're fully New Zealand owned and made and designed for the New Zealand environment. Admittedly, it's been pretty tough in recent years. There's been a lot of redundancies. I think our sheep population has gone from 70 million down to 35 million, and we don't really want to see it go much lower than that. So our base resource is certainly dwindling. In the last 3 years, we've invested well in excess of $1 million on our environmental choice journey to make sure that this gratuitous product shot of carpet is actually made in a much more sustainable and environmentally friendly way. It all starts with the wool, and we're very fortunate that our base material is a sustainable fibre. It's all sourced directly from New Zealand farmers, and we actually own the biggest wool broking company in New Zealand. That allows us to buy the best quality wool, which gives you the best quality carpet. It's low vegetable matter, it's purer, it's cleaner, it means it dries better. And it only takes about 1/8 of the energy to produce wool fibre versus synthetic fibre, which is just something to tuck into the back of your mind. In terms of the changes we've made, the wool scour, we have New Zealand's largest wool scour at Awatoto down in Napier. We made a big investment here to change the detergents, and obviously that's where we wash the wool, and there's a lot of detergents used. They are now fully biodegradable. We've reduced the amount of water used, which is no mean feat in a wool scour, but obviously water going forward is an increasingly expensive and scarce resource, so we need to be careful with its use. And we've significantly reduced the amount of waste, solid waste, going into our treatment plant, and just looked at very basic things like lighting. Same with our spinning mills. We have one in Wanganui and one again at Awatoto and Napier, and that's where we take the scoured wool, we dye it, and then we spin it into yarn to send to our plant in Auckland. And we've removed all the nasty chromium from our dye stuffs, we've reduced the amount of water and wastewater, and again looked at lighting. We haven't yet got to the point of using vegetable dyes. They just, won't stack up in terms of resilience and staying. So we have taken certainly the nasty stuff out, but we haven't quite got to the vegetable dye area. In terms of the tufting plant, should remind you that carpet's actually a relatively simple construction. It's really only got 4 key ingredients. You have your wool, which is sewn into a polypropylene primary backing, and then that is had a layer of latex added to it and then bonded to a jute backing. So really just 4 very basic ingredients. Our jute secondary backing is sourced from India. Our GM manufacturing has been to the plant in India and checked them out, so we're very careful about our suppliers and where we get things from. Our latex is all low VOC. Our polypropylene primary backing is sent to waste, as is all the hard waste from our plant. So it all gets sent to a recycling plant and is turned back into housing insulation material. So we try and close that loop wherever we can. And in terms of post-use of carpet, I don't know if many of you know, it's actually a really fantastic weed mat. If you want to take it outside and throw it on the garden, please feel free, because it will biodegrade over time and you'll find that your plants thrive particularly well. AgResearch did a whole lot of tests down in Christchurch at 4 different sites, and they found that its ability to retain moisture in the soil was very good, that the biodiversity under the weed matting was particularly good, and I'm told, because I'm no chemist, whereas Kevin and Colin will blind you with science, that means, lots of worms, and that's really good. And the fact that it just really helps plant growth. We have recently donated 4,000 weed mats to Motatapu Island out here. They're doing a big revegetation project, so we're very pleased to be helping with that. And we gave, I think, something like 22 pallets to the Auckland Regional Council of weed mats to use in their planting out. So it is a really fantastic resource in terms of being able not to go to landfill but be used productively in that way. And just another thing that we do with not uplifted carpet, with some of our production trial carpet that we can't sell because it's very small runs and we're just experimenting. We give that to the rural housing programs in Northland and East Cape, and this is where carpet really comes into its own as an insulator, because these homes often have no water, no running water, no electricity, very elderly or very young residents. They are poor as church mice, and they really can't even afford to go and buy a rug from the warehouse. So we donate the carpet to be used in those homes, and although they don't even have underlay, certainly the warmth and the comfort that it gives, I know that they're very pleased with. In terms of energy use, I just thought I'd show you these slides to show how we stack up against on the far left is polypropylene, and then you've got 2 nylons, nylon 6 and nylon 6,6, which are used in synthetic carpet production. So we stack up very well when you look at the primary energy use and also our resource use, which is far, far lower because our ingredients are so simple and they're not dug out of the ground. Similarly, in air emissions, and this is to do with production of the fibre and the processes involved with that. And because I promised to tell it warts and all, and if it's not pretty, I'll tell you. There's this slide here which shows our global warming potential, and sadly this is because we have flatulent sheep. And I know there is a major global study of which New Zealand is very much at the forefront to try and look at the digestive system of our sheep and dairy cattle, which is also a big problem. And if we could figure out a way to give them a digestive system that's similar to kangaroos, then I think this would come down significantly. So we can't control everything.